If you remember, in the last class we had discussed about the Pārāmitās or perfections. In Pali it is also called as Pārami. So we had discussed about the what is Pārami and in what sense the Pārami has been defined. So today we are going to discuss the number of perfections or Pārāmitās and what is the sequence of these 6 or 10 types of perfections or Pārāmitās. We'll discuss and then we will discuss that what are the characteristics of our these 6 or 10 types of perfections. So if you remember, then in the last class we had discussed about the Pārāmitās are those human values through which a person can get a state of eternal bliss from the state of suffering. And we had seen also that Pārāmitās have been defined as Paratiti Parami, that which excels among all the that virtues or that human values which excels and which takes a being from one source of the existence to the another source of the existence. These are called as perfections or Pārāmitās. So Parati iti Paramo or Param Gatam iti Pārāmitā. Acharya Buddha Ghosh in the Buddha Vansa Katha, he has defined as Parati iti Parami or Param Gatam iti Pārāmitā, that which takes a being from the state of suffering, that is the one source of the existence, to the another source of the existence, that is the state of eternal bliss. These are called as Pārāmitās. And that is supreme, you can say. Param. Param is that is the excellent one, that which takes a being in the sense of supreme, that is called as. So these are the 10 types of human values, or in another way, they are called as perfections, through which a bodhisattva who is in the on the path of getting enlightenment, he performs these perfections. Initially, there are 6 types of perfections which we have discussed in our last class. They are Dāna Pāramitā, Sīla Pāramitā, Shanti Pāramitā, Vīrya-Pāramitā, Dhyana Pāramitā, and Prajñā Pāramitā. And later in the commentaries or in the Buddha ones or in Jatak At Katha or Sutanipat At Katha or Buddha Vansa At Katha, there are 10 types of perfections which have been discussed, like such Aditthana, Nekham, and such Aditthana, Nekham, and Metta. These are the 4 which were added by the later acharyas or the commentators. So there are altogether 10 types of perfections. But in Sanskrit text, in Sanskrit Buddhist text like Lalita Vistara, Sadhan Pundarik Sutra, Suhir Lekh by Acharya Nagarjun, we are having 6 types of perfections, namely Dāna Pāramitā, Sīla Pāramitā, Shanti Pāramitā, Vīrya-Pāramitā, Dhyana Pāramitā, and Prajñā Pāramitā. But later, in the text like Das Bhumik Sutra, we are also having 10 types of perfections which have been discussed in a very detailed manner. But here now we are going to discuss that in what sense, that in what sense it has been defined, that it has been defined that which takes a being from the state of suffering to the another source of the existence. And in the Madhyam Nikaya, in Alagodapama Sutta, Buddha also says that Kulupamam Bhikkhave Dhammam Desemi. O monks, I preach my Dhamma, that is the teachings, just like a boat through a boat. Some of the persons from the one bank of the river, they are crossing to the another shore of or another bank of the river. In the same way, perfections are just like a boat, kulupamama. And through these perfections, a bodhisattva, from the state of suffering to the state of eternal bliss, that is the nibbana, he tries to get it. And it is not in a one state of existence, but there are so many existence through which he has to perform 10 types of perfections. And Jatakas, if you go through the 550 stories related with the birth of the Buddha, you will find that how a bodhisattva has performed these 10 types of paramitas or parami or perfections or the human values. So these are the examples, and a bodhisattva has to take form in as an animal, in the form of birds, in the form of human beings. They have to, a bodhisattva has to take birth in so many forms, and by performing all these human values, 10 types of parami or paramitas, he gets a state of eternal bliss. So now we are seeing that how what are the 10 types of discuss and how they have been given in a sequence. So just now we have seen that there are 6 types of paramitas: Dāna Pāramitā, Sīla Pāramitā, Shanti Pāramitā, Vīrya-Pāramitā, Dhyana Pāramitā, Prajñā Pāramitā. So these are the 6, and later on there are 4 types of like such, aditthana, nekhamma, and metta. Such means truthfulness. We'll discuss one by one in a very detailed manner that in what sense it has been given by the acharyas, and which one is the best one, and how a bodhisattva has to perform which one the first and the second one. We'll discuss that what are the sequence of performing these 10 types of perfections. So these are the like the 4, if you later on, such a truthfulness, aditthana, that is a strong determination, nekhamma, that is the renunciation, and metta, that is the loving kindness. These are the 4 which were later on added by the acharyas, like the Acharya Buddha Ghosa, which we find in the Jataka Katha or Suttanipata Katha or Buddhavansa Atakatha. Buddhavansa is also included in one of the 15 texts of Khuddaka Nikaya, and in that text also we are having 10 types of perfections or paramitas. So let us discuss that how the sequence or method of explaining of the sequence has been given in our text. So I have already given you the materials written by Bhikkhu Bodhi about these paramis. If you go through, then you will find that how these have been discussed in a very detailed manner. So in a very brief manner, just I will discuss that how the sequence of these perfections or the paramitas may be undertaken or by followed by a bodhisattva. So giving, the first is called as dāna. Dāna is an act of generosity. We have discussed already when we are discussing about that dasa punya kriya, 10 meritorious deeds. We had discussed that how dāna has been given priority among all these 10 types of virtuous deeds. So here in perfections, a bodhisattva has to take first of all Dāna Pāramitās. So Dāna is the an act of generosity, and we had also discussed there are 3 types of Dāna. If you see, Dāna of slave, Dāna of friend, and Dāna of a royal king. So there are three types of dāna which have been discussed in our Pali text. And the dāna has been given that it is a very good act, and anybody can perform this act of charity or act of generosity. So everyone has to become generous, and nothing we have to pay for that. So that is why dan has been given first priority, and even the ordinary person also, those who are not bodhisattva but they are Buddhist, they also try to perform the act of the generosity, and they give it to an upasak and upasikas. They are also performing the Dāna Pāramitā. So it is easiest to practice by all the persons. So that is why Dana has been given priority. And if you go through the Jatakas, its birth stories of the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, you will find that how Dan has been given priority. And in any form, whether Bodhisattva has taken a form of rabbit, Sasajataka, or in the form of a peacock or anything, he has to take an act of generosity, and he is ready to even sacrifice his own body for the sake of meal of a Brahman or any person. So that act of generosity has been given one first. The second one is called as Sīla Pāramitā. We had discussed about the seal, that what is seal? Seal is in the sense of silana, that is, it is in the sense of composing. Composing means here, Acharya Buddha Ghosh says that silan is in the sense of samadhan and upadharana. What is samadhan? That is the coordination of the physical and vocal actions, where there is the inconsistency related with the physical and vocal actions, beginning from the panati pata adi bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, musavada bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, kamesu dikshachara bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, musavada bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, pisuna vacha bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, Farsa vacha bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, and lastly samphalapa bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami. So this is called as samadhan, inconsistency. That is why it is called as panatipata adi bermani avikamplitati atho. That it is in the sense of inconsistency related with the physical and vocal actions. And second is called as upadharana. Upadharan is in the sense of holding. Kusalanam dhammanam patithan vasena adhar bhavoti yatho. That here upadharan or holding is in the sense of establishment of the moral dhamma, or giving a base of establishment of the moral dhamma. So that is called as seal. In another way, in a very general sense, seal is the curtailment of the physical and vocal actions. So perfections related with the curtailment of the physical and vocal actions, this is called as virtue or Sīla Pāramitā. So after generosity, an act of generosity, a bodhisattva has to perform curtailment of the physical and the vocal misdeeds, and he has to purify himself. That is why he is taking the vow, or he is following the Sila Parvata, that is the perfections related with the morality or the virtue. And this, by the Sila Parvata, a person strives to purify his vocal as well as physical misdeeds. And in that way, he tries to make morally sound oneself, to go towards a state of concentration, that is the samadhi, and after that he is going in the stage of Prajñā, that is the right understanding. So Sila is given a much importance just after Dāna Pāramitā. So that is why it is called as, and again it is called as that in order to achievement of the favorable state of future existence, right after the cause of achievement of the wealth. So a person who gets wealth, it is the state of curtailment of the physical and vocal states. So that is called as Sila Parvata. The next is called as the here the sequence has been given, that is called as Nekhamma, renunciation. That is called as uh, renouncing the household life. If a person hears the teachings of the Buddha and he develops confidence or faith in the teachings of the Buddha, then he thinks that there are some things which are binding us. And if a person who is laity, who is leading a family life, he is not in a position to perform the perfections. That is why it is called as Naiskramya-Pāramitā. That is the perfections of renunciation. That after hearing the teachings of the Buddha, a person leaves the house and takes the life of a Pavacha, that is the, you can say, ordination into the Sangha. This is called as renunciation. So after curtailment of the physical and vocal misdeeds, that is the Sila Pāramitā, a person tries to renounce the household life and taking a life of Sangha, that is the Pavajja, that is taking a life of recluse in the Tisarana, Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangam Saranam Gacchami. So these are the three things through which it is called as a Pavajja. So this is the renunciation, Nekhamma Pāramitā. A person's a Yogavachar or a Bodhisattva, after the Sila Pāramitā, he takes Pāramitā of the Nekhamma Pāramitā. Next is called as a Prajñā Pāramitā. In Pali, it is called as Prajñā Pāramitā. What is Prajñā? We have already seen. Prajñā is that which has the characteristics of enlightenment. Obhasan Lakhanati Prajñā. That it has the characteristics of giving enlightenment to a person. Another way, it has the characteristics of Chedana Lakhana Paya. It has the characteristics of cutting off. That it has the characteristics of cutting off the immoral dhammas, namely, that is the Kaikam, Vashikam, and Manokam. So it has the quality of dispelling the darkness of the ignorance. So this is called as, and this through the Paya, a person tries to destroy the darkness of the ignorance, that is the avidya, through which avidya is the that dhamma which covers the nature of the reality. And this is the Paya through which a Yogavachar removes the darkness of the ignorance and it dispels the avidya, that is the ignorance, and through which he tries to penetrate into the nature of the reality, that is the Dhamma Svabhava, and through which a person is able to know the three nature of the reality, that Sabbe Sankhara Anicca, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha, and Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. So this is the wisdom or Prajñā Pāramitā, through which a Yogavachar tries to remove the darkness of ignorance, or he dispels the darkness of ignorance. So this is the fourth, you can say, order in order of 10 paramitas. So after the renunciation or Nekhamma Pāramitā, this wisdom Prajñā Pāramitā is required. And next is called as energy. That is called as Vīrya-Pāramitā. What is Vīrya-Pāramitā? We have also seen in Milind Pahiyo, Acharya Nagasen defines about the Virya that Upathamman Lakhanam Viryam. That Virya has the characteristics of giving the support, just like the four pillars of a building gives the support of a building. In the same way, the moral dhammas, kusal dhammas, namely Saddha, Sati, Samadhi, Virya or Prajñā, and other moral dhammas also, they are giving the moral support for, you can say, arising of the moral dhammas or kusala dhamma. How can we arise our moral dhammas on the surface of mind? So this is called, and this is possible only through the Virya. Virya is the energy, or atapiti Virya Bhava. If you see in Visuddhi Magga, the opening two verses, that is the Anto Jata, Bahi Jatai, Jatai Jatita Paja, Tam Tam Gotam Puchami, Ko Imam Vijete Jatamti. That there is a tangle inside, there is a tangle outside. Oh Gautam, I ask you again and again, who can distangle this tangle? Okay. In answer to this, Buddha says that in the Jata Sutta of Sanjukta Nikaya, Buddha says that Sile Patithaya Naroso Panyo Chittam Panyam Cha Bhavayam Atapi Nipko Bhikkhu So Imam Vijete Jatamti. That a Yogavachar or a person who is established in the path of the morality, he may develop concentration and the right understanding or wisdom. And a person who is atapi, that is the Brihyava, he is the energetic one, and Nepakava, that is the sagacious one, he may distangle this tangle. So Acharya Buddha Ghosh, when he is defining that atapiti nippuko, atapi is in the sense of Brihyava, that who is Briyavan, who is more energetic. Until unless a person who does not have energy, he cannot develop his moral dhammas. So this, after the Prajñā Pāramitās, this energy is most necessary for arising of the moral dhammas. And this wisdom, that is the prajna or Prajñā, is being perfected by our energy, that is the virya. And in Apamad Bhagga, if you go through that Apamad, Apamado Amatam Padam Pamado Machunam Padam Apamatta na miyati Pamatta Jatha Mata. So Apramad, that is the diligence. Pramad is the non-diligence. So Apramad is diligence is the path of the immorality. Immorality, that is the state of eternal bliss. So this apramad is possible only through this briya, or you can say energy. So that is why, and if you go through the last words of the Buddha in Mahaparinibbana Sutta, Buddha says that by dhamma sankhara apamadena sampadeta, that all things are subject to impermanence, work with diligence. So here, work with diligence. Apamadena sampadetha. Apramad is nothing but here it is through the energy. A person can be diligent without any idleness. So this is for arising of the prajna, energy is most necessary. Next comes patience, that is the Shanti. In Sanskrit, in Pali, it is called as Khanti. It is also called another name in English, patience or forbearance. So it is just mentioned after the, you can say, this last energy, that is the Vīrya. So after Vīrya-Pāramitā, this is the patience. And for Briya, this forbearance or patience is necessary. Suppose a person who abuses any persons and he has the quality of giving forbearance, and he has the quality of making excuse of that abuse. In that sense, he is called as a patient one. That he has the quality of the patient one. So if a person having the, if you lose your temper or if you lose the patience, then you cannot be diligent. So a person who is desirous to become more diligent, he has to be very much patient, or he must have the quality of forbearance also. So this is our energy is being perfected by patience. So that is why it is called as, and there are so many qualities which have been given in our text also. If you go through the text, then you'll find that patience is an adornment of energy. Adornment means that if a person praises of energy, then this patience quality is most energy. So patience of the energetic man shines with splendor. So the quality of the patience one is that he becomes very much famous in all the directions. And in Dhampad, regarding the this Khanti or forbearance, there are so many verses which have been given here. So after the energy or Vīrya-Pāramitā, this Khanti Pāramitā is most necessary for forming the Dāna Pāramitās. And again, has been said that to show the absence of craving for rewards in a bodhisattva, diligently engaged in activity for the welfare of others. So suppose a bodhisattva who is desirous for having welfare of Bahujan Hitāy, Bahujan Sukhay. So until unless this quality of forbearance is not there, forbearance or patience is not there, he cannot develop of that quality of Bahujan Hitāy, Bahujan Sukhay. So this is that in the Bodhisattva must patiently endure the suffering created by others. So persons who are creating problems to you, a person must have the quality to bear those sufferings by themselves. So this is the quality of the Khanti, or in Sanskrit it is Chanti or forbearance. Next Pārāmitās is called as Satya Pāramitā. These are the 6 Pārāmitās, but later which we are discussing. So 7th Pārāmitā is called as Satya Pāramitā. As we know that what is the Satya, that through the knowledge a person is able to know that all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. And it is possible only through the knowledge of the Four Noble Truth, that Dukkham Ariya Satcham, Dukh Samudaya Ariya Satcham, Dukh Nirodham Ariya Satcham, and Dukh Nirodha Damani Pratipadariya Satcham. That there is a suffering, there is a cause of suffering, there is a cessation of suffering, and there is a path which leads towards the cessation of suffering. So this is perfections related with the Satya. And such, if there are 4 types of qualities which have been also discussed in Jatakas, like Sach, Chag, Dhiti, and there is another one. There are 4 types of things which are also to be followed by a royal king also. That a royal king must follow the Satya, that is the truthfulness, Chag, that is the sacrifice, Dhriti, that he must be patient, and there is another one. So there are four qualities which have been discussed in Jatakas also. So here also, a jo Bodhisattva who is performing the Pāramitā or perfections or Parami, he must perform the such Pāramitā. So it is just followed by our Khanti Pāramitā, because the determinations to practice patience continues long through truthfulness. So a Khanti Pāramitā is only possible if a person who is also following the such Pāramitā, that is the perfection related with the truthfulness. And again, it is called that having first mentioned the patient endurance of wrong inflicted by others. So a person who is patient and the sufferings which are being put to by others to him, and he is enduring or he is bearing those sufferings. So this is such a Pāramitā is the quality through which he tries to endure or bear those sufferings also. Again, it is said that a bodhisattva who through the patience does not vacillate in the face of abuse, that a person who is being abused in the Yamakabag of Dhammapad, if you see that someone has abused me, someone has given me some wrong things to me. So how he has to perform like that? Yamakabag has given two verses related with this. So here this truthfulness or such a Pāramitā gives the perfections related with the to know the nature of the reality, and again to show the truthfulness of the knowledge developed through reflective acquiescence in the emptiness of beings. So it is called that a person, in the sense of if you go through the sunyata, that is the emptiness, that emptiness, sunyata is that through that emptiness of sunyata, a person or a yogavachar is able to cognize that all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. So this is the quality of the Satya Paramita. After that, there is a call Adhisthan in Sanskrit. In Pali, it is called as Adhitthana, and in English, it is called as determination. If you go through the eightfold path, the second eightfold path, second constituent of the eightfold path is Samma Sankappo. Samma Sankappo, if you go through the Samma right determination, there are three things or aspects which have been given in our second eightfold path, second constituent of eightfold path, that is the right determination. That is Nekham Sankappo, Abhyapad Sankappo, and Avihinsa Sankappo. Determination related to renouncing the household life. Abhyapad Sankappo, a determination to have the metta, that is the loving kindness, Abhyapad. And thirdly, it is a right determination of Hinsa Sakappo, a right determination is related with the compassion of Hinsa. Here also determination is Adhisthan, that how a perfect, a bodhisattva who is following the Das Pāramitā or 10 Pāramitā, he has to take immediately after the Satya Pāramitā, because this Satya Pāramitā is perfected by a strong determination. Until a person, until unless a Yogavachar or a Bodhisattva does not have this strong determination, he cannot follow the Satya Pāramitā. So that is why determination has been given here as one of the 10 types of perfections, namely that is the eighth Pāramitā or the eighth perfections, namely that is the determination perfection. So there are two types of things which are this a strong determination leads towards the requisites related with a state of enlightenment, that is called as bodhisambhara, and that one who knows the things as they really are, yatha bhutayanam. So this through the adhithan we are able to know the about the things as they really appear, and through this a person is able to know the nature of the reality as they really are. So this is the, you can say, such aditthana parvita. After this there is a next ninth perfections, or ninth parami or parmita, that is called as metta parmita, that is the loving kindness perfections. If you go through the Metta Sutta in Sutta Nipat of Khutak Nikaya, there are so many, more than 20 verses which have been given that how loving kindness may be developed. What is loving kindness? That is the metta or metri, that parhit kamatati metta, that a desire to help others without having any return from that person. That is called as metta. Or here, that bhavatu sab mangalam, arogino khimno huntu sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta, that let all the beings be happy, let all the beings be well. This type of thinking comes with the performance of the loving kindness, that is called as metta. And in Metta Sutta of Khuddaka Nikaya of Suttanipat of Khuddaka Nikaya, it has been said Matha Jathaniyam Puttam Ek Manasam Bhave Ariparimanam. That is just like a mother who protects her baby at the cost of her own life. In the same manner, a person or a yogavachar or a bodhisattva may perform loving kindness towards all human beings or animals in the sense of Bhojanitai, Bhojan Sukhai, Bhavatu Sab Mangalam. So this is called as an event, that how it may be practiced, that a person who is just standing, walking, moving, he may develop loving kindness towards all the living beings, creatures, whether they are living or plants or animals. So this is called as loving kindness, and it is being performed just after the Aditthana Pāramitā. So the loving kindness comes after the Aditthana Pāramitā. So because loving kindness perfects the determination to undertake activity for the welfare of the all human beings. And again it is said that because of undertaking of metta, that is the loving kindness, it proceeds imperturbably only when determination is unshakable. There must be a inconsistency, and it is in Dhammapada. There is a verse, if you remember, Selo yatha ek ghano vaten na samirati, vaten Selo yatha ek ghano vaten na samirati, evam ninda prasansa su na samanjita pandita. Just like a massive rock is not being shaken by the strong wind, in the same way, a person who is performing the perfections, he is not shakeable with the praise and ninda, that is the blame. So, in that way, it is said that this loving kindness must be unshakable. It must be uh, shakable. If a person who praises you that you are loving kind, you are performing loving kindness in a very good manner, and the person's he becomes unshakable. You can say unshakable means he becomes not stable, and he tries to stop performing the loving kindness. So here it is said that just like a massive rock, Silo yatha ek gano vatena na samirati, as a massive rock is not being shaken by the wind, a strong wind, in the same manner, a person must not be shaken by ninda and prasansa, that is the blame or praise. So this is loving kindness. It may be developed by a bodhisattva who is performing paramita, and its number comes after the, you can say, Dāna Pāramitā. The last paramita which we are going to discuss in the sequence manner, this is called as equanimity. We have discussed in our last class, equanimity is just like a samata bhav, like sarva dhamma sambhav, that let all the persons having any caste, color, creed must be respected by any person. There must be no any distinction related with the caste, color, creed, or anything. So it has been defined mudhajane su upekha, that a person who does not have any feeling related with the unpleasant or pleasant, or you can say happiness or the suffering, he becomes, you can say, does not have any emotions like this. This is called as equanimity. So equanimity upekha, this is also one of the four kinds of Brahma Vihar: Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekha. So Upekha is also fourth is a pillar of Brahma Vihar. Here also Upekha is also performed like a perfection, and its position comes after the metta. And it is said that if you do not have the equanimity towards all the human beings, you cannot perform metta or metta paramita towards all the human beings or the animals or the plants. Bhavatu Sabha Mangalam or Sab Dharma Sabha Bhav, you cannot have. So that is why just after the loving kindness, this equanimity, perfections has been mentioned. And this equanimity purifies our loving kindness. It makes perfections. Perfections means as much as we are performing equanimity, our metta paramita is also being perfected in that sense. So this is called as, and again, the bodhisattva wonderful virtue of remaining impartial even towards those who wish him well. So there must be a impartial, no, there must not be any partiality towards any caste, color, creed, or religion. And that is why in Mahapradipan Sutta, Buddha has also given the 7 types of virtues to the Vaisali king Vajjayans. And he Buddhist told that as long as the Sat Apariyahaniya Dhamma is being followed by the Vajjayans, no one can defeat this Vajjayans or the persons of the Vaisali. And about among the Sata Aparihaniya Dhamma, there is one is respecting to the elders, respecting to the women, and respecting to all the religions, all the temples, all the, you can say, persons having another beliefs also. So that type of quality is also related with our equanimity. So this is the sequence of 10 types of paramitas. So let us finish here. In the next class, we will discuss about the what are the characteristics and functions of our 10 types of perfections in a very detailed manner. We are discussed that what are the characteristics of these 10 types of paramitas.